All right. Rob, are you ready for your 10 questions?
I'm ready for my 10 questions, Jeff.
I appreciate the calm confidence. That's really good. All right, here we go. Question number 1. If you had to choose between the two, which one would you pick? Batman's utility belt or a fanny pack?
I'd go with the utility belt. I'm a very practical kind of a guy.
Well, if you're talking practicality, I mean everything just goes right into that fanny pack. I mean it's a one-stop shop.
Utility belt's got everything that you need. I mean, it's a utility belt. It's got all the gear that you need, the kit that you need to have to go out and do the things you need to do. It's there. That's an
Like
obvious.
shark repellent.
Yeah, potentially. Have you ever flown out over the ocean in an F-15 with the fear that you're going to get, into a mid-air collision and end up in the midst of the sharks? It'd be a good time to have a utility belt if you're in that situation. And I've been there, Jeff. I've been there.
Well, me too, but it's been a couple months. Well, yeah, okay, but I see your point. However, the utility belt only goes around your waist, and the fanny pack has wearable options. It's around your waist or over the shoulder, and sometimes, reaching down to the utility belt versus just whoosh, right there, like that could have a benefit.
So then we get into the additional layer of some of us have standards, and the standards say never will we be caught dead with a fanny pack. All right, so
Hey, if it's good enough for The Rock, it's good enough for me.
okay, fair enough. I mean, we each have different standards. Let's just agree to disagree.
No, I'm with you. I don't think I could do it.
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
Yeah. No judgment, but I just couldn't.
Yeah, okay,
Question
good.
number 2. What is your favorite movie?
Most days it's a Wonderful Life, and most days it's a Wonderful Life without any hesitation whatsoever. But on some days, especially when I have that pining for America's favorite pastime, baseball, I would say the director's cut of The Natural.
Ooh. Okay, so big fan of The Natural. What about The Natural makes it a great movie for you?
The fact that it blends in sort of the magical piece of the sport on top of the obvious, I mean, when he knocks the cover off the ball, when Roy Hobbs does, or when he says, pick me out a winner, Bobby, and Bobby comes back with the Savoy Special, and those things, they tug at the heartstrings. I've seen the movie maybe 1 trillion times, okay, roughly, and give or take, and every time that the Savoy Special comes out, I do get choked up, period. And again, I get choked up at the end of It's a Wonderful Life as well, and what a great tale that is. So you can't go wrong with either one.
No, you can't.
Yeah, Jeff, if you're trying to force me into a Top Gun moment, you're not going to get that from me, all right?
I'm not forcing anything.
All right, fair enough.
I'll be your wingman, but I'm not forcing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just take me home. Show me the way. Okay, so question number 3. Favorite quote. What is your favorite quote?
I'd pick C.S. Lewis's, and I've got a paraphrase. All right, so paraphrase here. You can't change how it is that you got here. All you can do is take where you are right now and improve the ending, something to that effect. And I embraced that when I was diagnosed with colorectal cancer, a cancer that I hold myself accountable for allowing to develop to the level that it was. And so that was kind of a disheartening experience. But what's done is done, and so I had to take where I was and set that as the new start point and work on having an ending that I'm proud of, and that's a work in progress. But I agree with Lewis completely. I admire his work as it is anyway, and occasionally I'll make reference to that when I speak.
Wow, that's good. I thought you were going to say something like, your mouth's writing checks your body can't cash.
I told you, Jeff, you're not going to push me in the direction of Top Gun today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, but on a serious note, like to come to grips with what you just shared, about colon rectal cancer. I mean, that's a that's a big that's a big step.
Yeah, and that's kind of the background that I come from. I mean, we made mistakes all the time in the flying world, and costly mistakes in training that, had they taken place in a combat setting, would have been horrific. And you got two options. One, you could sit there and lament and moan and beat yourself up and kind of find yourself in a sickening experience. Or option B, go, here's where we're at. I choose to make something better with my life moving forward. I'm going to learn from this and grow. And I'd say most of us do much better if we go with option B.
Yeah. I like option B. I'm an option B guy.
I think you're kind of an option B sort of a guy, Jeff.
Thank you. Hearing you say that with that deep, low bass sound of voice you've got is very, very encouraging, and I believe you. I believe you that I am.
Outstanding. Good. With or without a fanny pack?
With or without a fanny pack. Don't forget the shark repellent. So, question number 4. What is the best advice you have ever received?
It was Dad, who is a former Judge Advocate General, former Assistant U.S. Attorney. The day that I got accepted to the Air Force Academy, probably as the last person to be accepted into my class, like weeks before basic cadet training started, I got accepted. This is after I was rejected, and I thought my dad was just going to be overjoyed. Yeah, so I mean, I am the tail end Charlie of this whole experience. And Dad sits me out on our back deck in Kansas City, Lee Summit, Missouri. And I'm thinking he's going to say, son, I'm so proud of you. This is the greatest thing ever. Wow, you're living your... No, he said, son, good on you. And if you screw up even one micro whatever, I will personally come out there and prosecute you to the full extent of the law. I was not expecting that. But I will say that every time that I made a decision about what I was going to do from that point on to the present day, and by the way, Dad passed away in 2010, I still have his words echoing through my mind, and I'm reminded that I need to do the right thing because Dad's always watching, and it kind of actually, I think, set me up to succeed well. Lou Holtz gives a keynote, I believe, where he asks us, before we make a decision, to evaluate, can we live with the potential consequences of that decision? And it's the same kind of construct there. And Dad, in a seemingly harsh way, but actually I think really loving way, said, stay the course, son, and don't let any of this success get to your head.
Wow. And along with that, it reminds me of a quote Pastor James Williams shared with me earlier. Your soul may belong to God, but today your behind belongs to me.
Yes. Amen.
Sounds,
Amen, Pastor James Williams. Amen.
Man. Well, let's go back in time for a second to when you were a kid for the next question. What was your favorite childhood toy?
Oh, it was probably a Luke Skywalker blaster, and I remember watching Star Wars when it came out and just being blown away by the whole experience. I remember thinking, man, are these cats cool, wanting to be I wanted to be like Luke, going off to some sort of academy somewhere and doing whatever that entailed, and I wanted to be, zipping around the galaxy in cool spacecraft, and I thought Han was just the dude. And when I got my little blaster, which didn't blast anything, but it kind of made all the right sounds and it looked the right way, that was one step closer. I'd say that was probably my favorite toy.
Yeah, man, Star Wars, that was a big fan of. So, Star Wars or Star Trek for you?
Star Wars without a doubt, and we're talking episodes 4, 5, and 6 only.
That's very specific.
Oh, yeah.
Rogue One was pretty close. Did you see that one?
Oh yeah, the night that it came out, we put all the kids to bed. Did I mention I've got 5 kids? Anyway, put all the kids to bed, and then woke up the oldest two in time for the 10:30 showing, and that blew them away. They were not expecting that. So Thursday night we were there and watched that, and I was impressed. I was very impressed, and the three of us agree that of the newer variants, the newer editions, starting with Episode 1, Rogue One is acceptable. I mean, like that fits the original canon of film.
We shall accept.
We will, yes. Some of the other ones we may reserve judgment on, at least on this podcast.
Fair enough. So what about The Mandalorian? Are you watching any of that?
I'm a little bit behind. My oldest son has advised me that I really will enjoy season 2. So once I get caught up with work, I'll get caught up on seeing that, and then I'll come back and let you know what I think. I think it's got promise.
So this reminds me of a conversation I had with my son yesterday. I said, son, when I was growing up, we had this saying, work comes before play. You work first, you get that done, then you go play and do your stuff. It's very important.
That's right. I'd say mission critical.
Mission critical, right? As I've gotten older, I've learned that you do need to budget in certain play in the middle of the work. Like you can't just work nonstop. Like you do need some kind of sustainability there in the middle of it. But I'm not going to tell my son that until after he gets out of the house.
Yeah, that's right. That's a lesson that he can experience on his own.
Right. Right now, I just need him to work. Work, son. I love you. Yeah. Well, I hope you get your work done quickly so that you can watch the rest of The Mandalorian, and then we can talk about it.
Okay, that sounds like a plan.
I thoroughly enjoyed season 2.
Okay, awesome.
All right, next question. When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Without any hesitation whatsoever, I wanted to be a fighter pilot. When I was 4, it was something in the galaxy, but then as time kind of moved forward and I recognized that was not really so realistic, I set my expectations to the earthly domain and settled on fighter aviation. And then I never wavered from that, never once.
That's some serious laser-like focus.
It is, and I don't know where it came from. I mean, it certainly was an internal inspiration. It was one of those things that I just knew I had to go do. I didn't fit the mold. I was a classically trained violin and piano player growing up. I didn't play sports. I lived in different countries, and I was always behind on whatever the cool sport was. And I was a scrawny little kid too. People laughed when I said I wanted to be a fighter pilot. I did not fit the mold at all, but I knew that was what I had to do. And so I did it.
That's awesome.
I
did not know that you were a classically trained violinist and pianist.
When I was 2 is when I picked up the violin via the Suzuki method, and then did the piano a couple of years later, and then played that all the way through until it became uncool, and then shifted to the bass guitar. But yeah, that's where I started, and so I wonder how that affected my ability to fly, because I didn't play computer games growing up, but I was pretty adept at managing all the throttle and stick combinations, and I do think that has something to do with tapping on the keys and doing the thing with the violin and guitar. So it all played well. But to your core question, there was never even a moment of hesitation about it. Fighter pilot was it.
Was it? All right. Well, that leads me to question number whatever. What brings you joy?
The most joy is to watch my family develop on a path to heaven. Like that, to me, is the whole essence of why it is that we exist over here. So our purpose is to get everybody to heaven, and if we can do that, then we've achieved our mission success. And then so closely tied to that is to be in their midst and to help usher that whole process on. So as we're recording this, I'm sitting in a hotel room in Los Angeles, just a few feet away from the Staples Center. I'm decidedly not in their midst right now, so that does not bring me joy. But then you go back to the mission focus and the things we have to do, and we've got to do some work. So I'm over here to work, but I work so that I can get back to and be there in the presence of the family that I care deeply about, and I'm blessed to have. And we're working on being the best team that we can to achieve our definition of success.
That's good. Well, let's flip that 180 degrees and ask, what brings you dread?
Being away from them. I hate it. I'll do it. We all agree to this current lifestyle because we know that it's mission critical to being able to achieve mission success, but at times it's difficult.
You said we all agreed?
Yeah, so the kids
What
are
does that
involved in
mean?
our decision process. I mean, we sit down together as a team and discuss what's coming up, where's Dad going to be, how's it all going to work, what kind of sacrifices do we have to make in order to make this work out, and then we constantly reaffirm whether or not this is the right path for us.
Yeah. That's pretty impressive. I know a lot of people that don't do that.
But then you get back to what it is that brings you joy, and like I really care about the family, and I want our dynamic to be strong. I want it to be that when the kids leave, they don't want to go too far away, that they enjoy being around Mom and Dad. And I don't ever want it to be where we're just sitting there going, dude, we've got 3 years left until the house is free and we can be rid of all of this stuff. Yeah. So, it's just our funky way of looking at the world, but I'm glad for it, Jeff. I'm glad for it.
Well, I think it's phenomenal that you included them in the process. I mean, on so many different levels. Because I know a lot of people will say, okay, this is what I need to do to get to my joy, to spend time with my family. And so they make those decisions, but they don't necessarily include their kids in those decisions. And I mean, your kids are like, what's the age range currently?
15, 12, 9, 6, and 3.
Wow.
We've got
I cannot imagine what kind of an impact that has on them when their father says, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. Are you all on board with this? Like that's very inspirational.
Well, so what's the origin story of that, Jeff? When we were in the military, they were kind of going wherever it was that the United States Air Force sent me. And, they didn't have a vote in whether or not we're going to go live in Greece or whether we're going to have a baby in Germany or whether we're going to live in New Mexico or wherever else it was that we were at. And so when we retired, we were very intentional about where and why. And then we've been given opportunities to do something else. And in each case, because of the implications, because of how it is that we're nesting within our community, because of the way that we've developed relationships, we've started with the children and asked them, would you be open to us moving to this place? Would you be open to this life change? When the answer is no, then we've made it very simple. We're not going to take it. And then that means that we have to sacrifice to do what it is that I'm currently doing. And so everybody agree that this is what's necessary and you're going to help Mom while Dad's gone? Yes. And then we act on that. And dare I say, we hold ourselves accountable for doing what it is that we said that we're going to, in the root of being the best family team that we can be.
All right, here we go. Two more questions. Question number 9. What is one thing that you would like to accomplish but cannot do on your own?
So many different ways we can take this one. I like every one of my kids to get to where it is that they want to be, but that's not up to me. Like I can't reach into my son Michael's mind and program it a certain way and say you're going to do it this way. Or I can't come in there and say you go where I tell you. He's got to arrive at his own conclusions, and so all that I can do is offer each of my kids, along with my wife, a perspective of the implications of certain decisions, and then leave it to them to choose to act on that, and pray that they make the right calls in life.
Well, we're going to land this plane now.
Okay.
With question number 10. What do you hope people will say about you after you're gone?
He gave more than he took, and he led with his heart. And if we go that route, I think we'll hit where it is that we need to be. Maybe an extension of that is that they see the children and they see good kids who are doing good things in the world, which is an extension of what our family really is organized to do, and they see value in that. That would be more than sufficient for us.
Permission to buzz the tower?
Granted, Jeff. Granted.
Yes.
Go right ahead.
Rob, thank you so much for your time, man. This was fantastic.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Jeff. Keep up the great work.